folks. This is Carl. My name is Carl. This is a Friday takeaway. These are snippets of information, reflections, and little tidbits to help you in your journey to recovery. Uh, Sorry I wasn't around last week. I was away with the family on a short break to Europe. But it did give me time to reflect. I know we've been talking about the pelvic floor last session and the one before. I'll touch on that a little bit today, but next week we resume our conversations around the pelvic floor and pelvic floor dysfunction, looking in isolation at the pelvic floor and how that's really unhelpful. And so today is looking at a bigger picture. And whilst I was away, I'll bring up this book now. But I was away, I was listening to a book called Unstressable. And Unstressable is a book by Mo Gawdat Mo Gawdat and Alice Law. Mo Gawdat has had several books out now on the role of stress, catastrophization, anxiety, the little mind, the little voice in our heads. He's good, right? He's really, really good. He has a YouTube channel, and he has an aim and an objective to reach as many people as possible and help them understand the role of stress in their life. And it got me thinking. And so this is a bit of a reflection on some of the book, and I'm only about a quarter of the way so far, but some of the book, some of the information that Mo is peddling in the book, and actually the onset of symptoms, when symptoms begin. Now, one of the concepts he covers, and he covers a lot, it's really good. So if you haven't listened to it or you're not aware of it, it came out this year. It's called Unstressable. Do take a look or a listen or a read. I think you'll find it very helpful at understanding the role of stress. And I know that's a very overused word, but the role of stress in our life, and certainly with this condition as well. Only on our Facebook group, support group the other day, did someone say, do we feel that stress is a contributing factor in their flare-ups? The short answer is yes, but not only flare-ups, the whole condition. So let's look at load and we'll unpack some of this. And I was reflecting on some of the load that I was under when I was away on holiday. And it's very different when we are out of our normal environment and we have a chance to reflect. And I'm quite a reflective person. If you know my work, you'll understand this and appreciate this as well. So there are two types of load that Mo Gawdat talks about. One is short, very, very high impact load that happens to the body and the stress that comes as a result of that. This might be the death of someone. It might be an infection. It might be being made redundant. All right, they're just three big examples of a very short, sharp, intense load that then leads to stress. The other is long and slow and drawn out, and we're not really aware of it. It's like a drip drip effect. And over time, it builds and builds and builds, maybe just through life, right? Just through perhaps not giving ourselves enough of a break at work, perhaps not taking enough time out for ourselves, maybe eating through our lunch breaks, maybe, yeah, the pressure of having a family and expectations and just this constant low build up of stress over a period of time. But here's the thing, and it made me think. The first one, short, high impact. If you have been if you have been exposed to low, slow, ongoing stress and your system is weakened, then that short, high impact stressful event is going to have a big impact over you. All right. For me, my symptoms began with a big infection in my right testicle, but at the time, my lifestyle was poor. I knew that. I was having a great time. I was in my mid-20s. I was loving life. Loads of drugs, loads of alcohol, loads of partying. It was great fun, but I was weakening my system over and over and over and over and over again. And so when I did get my infection, one, I wasn't surprised. I'd weakened my immune system. But secondly, the impact that had over me, um, and the after effects, the aftershock, if you like, were quite high. So it got me thinking about just the variety of loads that happen on our body. And these are just some examples of when I was away. So out of my comfort zone a little bit, we got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go and get a flight. So lack of sleep, slight stress getting to the airport. When we are in the airport, they stress you out because that's the way that the security system works there. They want to stress test you. Flying, there's another stressor on your body. Getting to the location after quite a long um, amount of time traveling. We've got two boys and two very energetic boys. And so managing and contending with the family instead of just traveling by myself was very notable. Where we went was 37 degrees. So we were in Greece. It's hot, right? Today in England, it's about 14. So quite a significant increase in the heat and relentless heat from the moment you wake up. It was lovely, really, really nice, but just ongoing heat, another stressor. Different food, and my wife is a nutritionist. We eat very well at home, and the food in the hotel that we were staying at wasn't the kind of food that we'd eat at home. It was of lower quality. It's catering food, right? High volume, and so our food choices were different, and the quality of the food we were eating was different. And there was some alcohol involved, and we were drinking every day. Not a lot, um, but just a couple of glasses every night, and that would again have an impact on my sleep. Um, and so we drove around the island on one day, and again, being in a new country, driving on the other side of the road, not knowing where you're going, all of these little stresses and loads were just chipping away. Now, I didn't get any symptoms. I haven't had symptoms now for 8.5 years, but I could certainly see, and I'm always reflecting on my patients and their experiences, but I could certainly see that even just these small changes to where we were can can add more stress and more load to the body. And it just made me think when people ask me, and I often get asked this, what is the cause of pelvic pain? Well, load is the cause of pelvic pain. Now, I call it 21st century. I glitz it up a little bit, pimp it up a little bit, make it sound a little bit more um, clickable, clickbaitable. 21st century living is the cause, but it's the load that really just chips away at the body and reduces its resilience, reduces its capability, is likely to lead to symptom escalation or certainly symptom duration, the prolonging of symptoms. And then even the condition itself is a stressor as well, right? So it becomes self-perpetuating. So it just got me thinking. And there are three under the stress element and the load element. Mo Gawdat talks about three things: limit, learn, and listen. And I thought this was quite interesting. So I'm going to bring up some notes I made on the book. So limit your stresses, be aware of them, and start to make choices to reduce them, even by a little bit. Learn to observe the stresses and become aware of the impacts on your life. Learn new habits to deal with these stresses and practice them over and over and over and over again. And then listen to your body and its sensations because your body's talking to you all the time. Patients of mine earlier this week suggested that their body was broken, and it feels broken. It really, really does. It's sending errant messages all the time. But actually, if we stop and listen, it can tell us an awful lot. And an increase in symptoms can be a reflection, a chance for reflection, not judgment or criticism or blame, but a chance to say, maybe I shouldn't push my body in the way that I do. Listen to it and then move forwards with compassion. And I thought that was actually really golden. And in terms of a takeaway, that's brilliant. Listen, so limit your stresses, learn to understand what happens in your body, and then listen to your body. So as that you can go again and repeat that. Or I'm aware now my body is sensitive, so maybe I should look at limiting some of my stresses. And that may not happen overnight, but move in that direction. Move towards limiting your stresses, move towards listening to your body a little bit more, move towards learning how you can make a difference in your life. I spoke the other week with a um, an orthopedic surgeon, and we spoke about instead of passing the responsibility to someone else for you to get better, the surgeon's a patient. Instead of passing the responsibility to someone else for them to get you better, take responsibility yourself. Because that's where the gold happens. That's where change is more likely to happen. That's where you lighten the load. No one else can lighten the load for you. You can't go to someone for them to massage your trigger points and your load away. The trigger points are there. Remember, we're going to come back to the pelvic floor. The trigger points are there if we're using that model, which is a failing model. But the trigger points are perhaps there because of the stresses in your life and the load on your body. And this is the reason why it's important to look beyond the pelvic floor. There it is, a little hint, a little snippet. Um, don't forget about our ongoing support groups, monthly online support groups. I'll put a link in the blurb beneath. It's the 12th of June here. I'm pre-recording this for the 14th of June, Friday takeaway. The next support group is on the 28th, Friday the 28th. They happen once a month now. I'm going to give you a link to my website, which will give you all the details and where to go for that as well. But this has been talking about load and what a load, but learning about the load and the learning about loads and the impact it has on your life is so, so valuable. My name's Karl Monahan. This is a Friday takeaway. I hope you found it beneficial, enjoyable, entertaining, helpful. I'd love to hear from you. You can contact me at pelvicpainmatters@gmail.com, or feel free to comment on this particular episode, no matter where you are watching it or listening to it. Until next time.